What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. For this video today, I really just wanted to sit down and kind of get all the thoughts that have been rolling around in my head out onto a video regarding the arenas. The video that's playing in the background is just filler. It's just Rhino up against Red Hulk and Labyrinth of Legends, which, as you'll see, I think I get close to 300 hits. Doesn't even do half the amount of damage that you could do that in Star-Lord with half the hits. But it's just filler because it's a long fight, so do bear with me. I hope I can get my thoughts out coherently and I don't ramble on too much, but would love to hear your thoughts at the end of this. The first thing I want to do is switch over to a screen. Okay, so here we have the arena cutoff history going all the way back to, I believe it's October 2015 is where it starts, all the way up through current, which is the second cable run. It doesn't have the third cable run on there yet, or the first for Wolverine, but it's fairly current and good enough for the discussion today. But the two things I wanted to touch on, and the two things that everybody talks about, is the 4-star hero features, the cutoffs being too high, and the fact that they are just not offered to enough people. They should be more than 400. And the second thing is the basic champ, the arena cutoffs getting too high for beginner players to get in on. So those are the two things that I wanted to touch on briefly. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, in fact, the basic hero cutoffs. So if we take a look at the most recent numbers that are out here for Colossus, you've got 2.7 for the first run, you've got 3.3 for the second. And I realize that Colossus is not a sought-after character. There's not a whole lot of uses for him. But the point that I want to make is, if you scroll, and we'll go all the way back here to the beginning of 2016, even into 2015. And if you look at characters like Hulkbuster, Abomination you've got here, Iron Patriot, Black Bolt, I mean, these are all characters that don't have a ton of use in the game, that don't have a ton of hype surrounding them. But if you go back to a year ago, basically, the cutoffs for these characters, let's take Hulkbuster for instance. You got 2.2, Abomination was 2, Iron Patriot 2.9, Ant-Man 2.4, Yellow Jacket 3.4. If you take those numbers into consideration, and then you scroll all the way back up to today, so we've got character bases who have grown a lot since a year ago. And you look at the cutoffs for basic characters like Hawkeye here, back in December. First arena was 2.3. Winter Soldier down here, 2.6. Yellow Jacket again, 3.7. And then Colossus, 2.7. I mean, the numbers themselves for the basic champs have really not changed that drastically. I mean, yes, you've got the huge example of Nightcrawler here, which set records for basics. Another newer one would be, let's see, let me go down here, Black Panther, the Civil War sought-after character, 5.3 million. And then Agent Venom, who was, I think, kind of the first time we saw the basic cutoffs getting up to 5 million. But obviously, these are characters who have a lot more unique abilities. They can be used in Alliance War defense, on offense. They have a lot of other abilities that players like Colossus and Winter Soldier can't be used for. So obviously, the cutoffs are going to be higher. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want to get in to begin, grinding, you're trying to build up a character base for yourself, a lot of these basic heroes are still very, very accessible to you. If you can sit down and you can take the time to grind for 2 to 3 million points as a new player, really in comparison, it's probably about the same grind that I do for 6.5 million. So you just have to sit down and you have to put in the time and you have to put in the effort, regardless of if you are a brand new character, a brand new player, out of the intermediate bracket, or you're somebody who's been playing for 2.5 years, trying to put up 6.5, 7 million points. So I don't believe that should be touched. I don't think they should be giving out characters as milestones. I just think that's too easy. If you want the sustainability and the long-term survival of the game, there should be a lot of work and dedication that goes into it to be able to earn these champs. And for newer players, it's very accessible. It's still there. The numbers show that. The second thing I wanted to talk about, and really is probably the thing that people talk about more than the basic champ, is the cutoffs for the 4-star featured champion. And people The majority of the people that I see say, there's more players playing now than have ever played before. There should be more than 400 people that earn that featured champion. And while I don't have all the numbers as far as who was playing then, who's playing now to show the percentages, even if they bump the number up, I wouldn't want to see it more than maybe 500 or 600. The point is that to be able to get the featured champion is a very special thing. There should be a very small group of people that put in the time and put in the effort to be able to get that, and they should be rewarded as such. I was watching a video the other day from Brian Grant, and I really like his videos because he has a lot of time that he sits down and thinks about his opinion on these things before he throws them out there. But basically what he was saying is the same thing I'm saying. The featured champions, the cutoffs, we don't want to see them changed. If you start stretching them and stretching them and stretching them, after a while they've lost their uniqueness. What I would like to see, though, and the changes that I would like to have made, is the difference between the first person who doesn't make the featured cutoff, so right now, the person in place 401, and then the basic arena cutoff. All of those people, regardless of how many points you've put up, you fall into the 1 to 5%. So if I was running for Colossus, for the first run, let's say I put up 3.5 million points, somebody who put up 15.5 million points, who they did 7 times basically what I did, they're getting the exact same reward as me. And I don't feel like fair is not really the word, but if you're going to put in that much more time and that much more effort, I think you should be rewarded for that. So what I would like to see is not necessarily an expansion of the top 400, but a fairly easy thing to implement, I think, would just be to add more milestones. Make them kind of like a top tier milestone for the people that are going for 400 but fall short, are still rewarded. Making the milestones maybe at like 8 million, 10 million, 12 million, or 8 million, 12 million, something very high that somebody going for the basic isn't going to continue pushing to 8 million or 12 million. It's not going to inflate the basic arena champ. But for those that are already putting in all that time, they are getting rewarded by hitting those milestones. And I feel like that's a fairly doable, easy thing to implement. If you wanted to talk about adding more arenas, for the beginner players, that's a totally separate discussion. But for the way that the arenas are set up, I feel like that new players are not necessarily at a disadvantage when you're talking about basic heroes that aren't highly sought after. They can grind for those and get those just like everybody else had to do at the beginning, and those numbers over the year have really not changed that much. The more people that come in, the more people have already been playing, and the more people already have Colossus, so that keeps a large group of the players from going for Colossus, just as an example. So I appreciate you guys making it through however long this video is, probably like 10 minutes. I can get a little long-winded sometimes, and for that I apologize. I'm also still really nasally. I'm dealing with this chest congestion thing, so I'm on meds. Fingers crossed I'll be feeling better by the end of this week. But once again, thanks for stopping by. Would love to hear from you guys either in the comments or on Twitter. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. If you have any questions, as always, hit me up. I'd be happy to help you out. Once again, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.